I think my parent is a narcissist. What should I do? Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Many people have parental narcissists. I do. My mother's one, for instance. She's an upper mid-range elite utilizing my classification system. Naturally, given the fact that I'm a narcissistic psychopath, my involvement with her is different from that of most people. I am far more readily able to deal with her. Naturally, it was more difficult for me when I was a young child. I had to remain in the same household as her. I was subjected to her various machinations, her abuses. Nevertheless, as I become older, it's been far easier for me to deal with her than for actually to deal with me. But what about the rest of you that don't have the same abilities as me, but rather face, as a consequence of your own empathic makeup, the difficulty of the realization that one or more of your parents may well be a narcissist? You have seen the signs. You've witnessed certain behaviors. You've had that realization with regard to problematic behaviors from when you were a child yourself, and now as an adult, you're either reflecting on those behaviors or you're looking at them in the round with more behaviors that have occurred as an adult. And you realize, I think that I'm probably dealing with a narcissist here. What should you then do? Well, the starting point is you need to know definitively what it is you're dealing with. You need to know, are you actually dealing with a narcissist? And to that end, I'd encourage you to put the relevant subject through my narc detector so that you can join the thousands of other people that have similarly done so and gained clarification. Why do I suggest this? Well, it's just as important to know, are you dealing with a narcissist, as whether you find out that actually you're not. Because there can be circumstances, and this has happened through various narc detectors, that the individual concerned isn't a narcissist. They might be narcissistic or normal, and it's important to know that. After all, your own emotional thinking, allied with perhaps not fully understanding narcissism, can result in a skewed outcome. Remember, you're the one that's lived it all, and whilst that's important in terms of understanding and gaining some insight, it can also cloud your judgment because you're so emotionally invested in what you've experienced that it will affect your clarity and objectivity. Furthermore, you're not the expert in narcissism, and therefore, to have an analysis undertaken by the expert, objectively, freed from emotional thinking, using the application of evidential standards and logic is hugely important. If the outcome is that you're not dealing with a narcissist, then that gives you greater scope for perhaps effecting changes within the relationship for salvaging it in some way. And therefore it's important to know precisely what you're dealing with. If it is, as you suspect, you are dealing with a narcissist, you need that confirmation from me. The reason being, if you don't get it, you will always have this nagging doubt. What if I was wrong? What if they're not a narcissist? This is common for empathic people to doubt themselves. Often you're entirely right, but to have that seal of approval, if you will, that confirmation after a review, a thorough review of the appropriate evidence, applying logic and expertise to tell you, no, you are correct in your suspicions. This person is a narcissist, and here are the reasons why, and this is what type of narcissist they are and the reasons why, is very important, both in terms of validation and crushing that self-doubt. By knowing that you are indeed dealing with a narcissist, this presents you with a clear course of action. Knowledge what you're dealing with bolsters your logic. It gives you that comfort and confidence that you're doing the right thing. Learning what type of narcissist you're facing is also important because it enables you to understand what that person has done, what they may well do, and just as importantly, what they're less likely to do. You're armed with that logic. Therefore, The first step would be to ascertain, are you certainly dealing with a narcissist or not? If it is confirmed to you that you are dealing with a narcissist, then you must apply the first golden rule of freedom, which is once you know, you go, you get out, and you stay out. This means you must apply a total no-contact regime. You must ensure that you remove yourself from the 5 arenas of interaction. You can learn more about how that's to be done in consultation with me by reading Exorcism and No Contact, 2 of my excellent books found in the Knowledge Vault, which will help you impose that no-contact regime. You can also, in discussion with me, like thousands of other people have done, understand what those arenas of interaction are and how you stay out of them. What will stand in your way with regard to making this decision and taking these steps to help you understand what you must do? There are various factors that will try and stop you from imposing your no-contact regime. First and foremost, of course, the narcissists themselves. The narcissist parent won't want to relinquish control over you. And if they sense that you're going to do this, or that you start to withdraw from them, the narcissist will look to bring you under control. You can expect for there to be an increase in the hoovering that you will experience. This might be malign. You could experience more pity plays. I've not seen as much of you. Is something wrong? There'll be spurious pretexts that occur for the purposes of coming to see you. You'll be guilt-tripped. There might even be threat used. If you don't come and visit me, I'll cut you out of the will. Why aren't you visiting me as much? When are you next coming to see me? There'll be greater demands placed upon you for you to do things for this individual, as you're repeatedly hoovered as a means of either preventing you from departing or keeping you involved. Therefore, you can expect the narcissist to try and stop the imposition of your no-contact regime. Other family members may well try and prevent you from doing this. It's not fair on Mum that you're going to back out from seeing her after everything she's done. Or, you shouldn't do this to Dad. He's Dad. It's not right, you know. Be prepared to understand that other family members may not actually grasp what it is you're doing. This is for you, not for them. Those other family members may not understand narcissism. They may not even see the behaviours of which you complain. For instance, if you've been the one who's been scapegoated, if you're the one that's made repeatedly demands of and they are not, it might be that other family members, by virtue of geography, other demands on their time, have very little to do with the narcissist parent and therefore don't get to see the downsides. It might be that they do, but they don't understand what it means. And therefore, they think that you are being unreasonable. They very much adhere to the view that this is a parent and therefore a relationship should be maintained. You must be prepared for well-intentioned but mistaken family members, your siblings, perhaps the spouse of the parent if they've remarried, your other parent, nephews, nieces, uncles, aunts, to weigh in and pressure you, to try and persuade you to maintain a relationship, to suggest it's not all that bad. They'll often diminish the behaviours. Oh, it's just his ways. He can't help it. He's just set in his ways. But they are not the ones that have necessarily experienced it, and they certainly haven't experienced what you have experienced. When dealing with those family members, it can be difficult because you want to maintain a relationship with them. And therefore what you must do is not necessarily dive into explaining to them about narcissism because they won't understand. Instead, what you've got to convey to them is, I've made this decision for the benefit of my own family. For instance, you're married and you've got children. Or, I have to make this decision for my own sanity. I appreciate your concerns, but I ask that you respect my decision, even if you perhaps don't understand it. Sometimes this results in those family members cutting you off. If that's the price of no contact, then that's the price that must be paid. Remember, you have to do what's right for you, and sometimes other people don't understand this. But for the most part, other family members may well realise that there's something difficult between the two of them. It's a shame they've not been able to resolve it, but at the end of the day, they will maintain contact with the both of you, and thus they accept that you have cut yourself off from that relevant family member. But be prepared to be put under considerable pressure by family members who don't understand what it is that you're dealing with, who don't understand the impact it has upon you, and don't understand what it is that has to be done. Another aspect which will try and stop you is your own emotional thinking. As you know, you're likely to be an empathic victim of this narcissist. Indeed, your addiction has stemmed from the fact that you've been imprinted by the behaviours of this parental narcissist. And thus, your addiction wants to be fed. It therefore creates emotional thinking to compel you to continue to enter into the arenas of interaction so that you remain interfacing with the narcissist in some way. Your emotional thinking will use lots of different ways. For instance, it'll make you feel bad. It'll make you feel guilty. It'll make you feel like you're making the wrong decision. It'll corrupt your trait of honesty to make you feel guilty. It'll suggest, you can't do this, they're family. That, well, they're not bad all of the time. Or perhaps they could change if I let them understand what it is that they actually are. The desire to heal and fix, the corruption of your truth-seeker trait. It wouldn't really be fair on my children to cut them off from grandma or granddad. I don't want to lose other members of the family by doing this, so perhaps I shouldn't go through with it. There'll be lots of thoughts along those lines, which is all emotional thinking. Because the cold hard logic is this. The only way to successfully deal with a narcissist is to not deal with the narcissist. It is to cut them out of your life. But many people, whilst they might be able to do it with a romantic narcissist, really struggle when it comes to family because of the reasons that I've just explained. The narcissist puts them under pressure. The family members cajole them into maintaining contact, and your own sense of guilt and emotional thinking causes you to waver, that you think, I can't, it's my mum. What you need to do is adjust your thinking to ensure that you think in terms of gain rather than loss. Don't think about losing a parent. Don't think about it losing other family members, but rather you're now gaining your freedom from abuse. You're gaining your freedom to live your life properly. You're gaining the freedom to make decisions free from interference. You're gaining knowledge of what has made you behave in a particular way, and you're taking corrective action. You're gaining better relationships. For instance, the behavior of a parental narcissist could be causing problems in your marriage, your relationships with your own children. They will be improved by cutting the narcissist out of your life. You need to adjust your thinking to think, I'm not losing a parent. Indeed, you have to remind yourself that this person does not deserve the title of parent. Why? They haven't behaved like one. The various abuses that they've subjected you to are not the behaviour of a healthy parent, and therefore you need to remove the concept of them being your parent. They are a parent only in biology. They're not a parent in terms of pastoral care, nurturing, or emotional empathy. And you must adjust your thinking to recategorize them in that way. It will make it easier for you to impose and maintain that no-contact regime. You must aim for no contact, total no contact. That is actually the easiest outcome for you, the better outcome for you, and it's what you should do when you learn that your parent is a narcissist. By achieving no contact, you'll starve the narcissist of fuel, reducing the likelihood of hoovers. You'll remove the abuse and adverse consequences that you've experienced. You will improve your relationships with other people. You'll reduce your emotional thinking, so the feelings of sorrow and guilt, which are not logical anyway with regard to the removal of the narcissist, will become lessened. You will see things far more clearly, and overall, your life will be all the better. What if you cannot achieve total no contact? Well, actually, you can. But if you find yourself struggling because your emotional thinking is proving too strong in that regard, what are the other options that are available to you? Well, I set out a whole host of practical tips in my assistance package, How to Handle a Parental Narcissist, which you'll find in the Knowledge Vault, link in the video description. I haven't detailed that behaviour here in this video because I want you to focus on total no contact, and I've made it such that there's a barrier that you have to cross before doing something that is less than total contact, namely engaging in expenditure to find out what the other options are. This is a purposeful act on my part to steer you towards no contact, to force you to really consider, do you want to do less than no contact? And if so, you're going to have to spend some money to find out what are the steps involved in that. Instead, I offer you the free information as to how you should deal with that parental narcissist once you've learned that you're definitely dealing with one. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.